So I have great pleasure today of having with me today Ms. Catherine Zhou. And Ms. Catherine Zhou is the CEO of Eco KMC LLC. It's a management consulting firm that specializes in investment and financial advisory, but specifically to supporting organizations as they enter into the Chinese market. And the company has a particular emphasis on working with US firms as they look at market opportunities within China. Prior to this, Catherine was the vice president and China general manager for St. Gobain Sage, which is a global Fortune 200 company, one of the world leaders in dynamic glass. She has over 20 years of professional experience in international marketing and management, global multi-market product launches, market penetration, sales, as well as business development strategies across the United States, Western Europe, Asia, South America, Africa, the Middle East. And now she's focusing in on the China market. And it is also a great pride that I should note that Catherine is also an alum of the Paul Merage School, receiving her MBA from our great institution. She's based in Suzhou, which is where she's coming from us today. And so, Catherine, thank you very much for taking the time to join me as part of this Dean's Thought Leadership Series. And I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind. This is a really interesting period of time for us in the history of mankind. We're coming out of a period of this pandemic, which has really been, I guess the word is dynamic in many respects. And so this past year has been extraordinarily disruptive. And what advice would you have as you think about entrepreneurs and how they can best thrive during this period of time?
Dean Williamson, I am just so honored to have this opportunity to talk with you. And, the questions are just so scintillating and awe-inspiring. And when you ask this, in my life, I have experienced both working for, I have experience in both working for corporate as well as an entrepreneur. Henceforth, for entrepreneurs, not to say advice, but all the experience I have experienced through this turbulent time. And I think that the way that I coped with it is that, first of all, be open. Expect nothing would be the same. Change comes as the only constant in a never expected way, and also in multifold type of amplified way. And also probably that is the new normal. And under this type of situation, and I think that you got to, as an entrepreneur, you got to be courageous. Because when it comes in this way, it's the same to everyone. And then to entrepreneurs, we are the ones who's always, so bold. And sometimes, even above and beyond being just courageous. So I think that when you are courageous, and then you will just stick your head out and see what is the opportunity over there. And then instead of seeing all the challenges and all the damage and all the harmful and the hurting way, and then you look at that and says, I can help to fix this, or I can help to improve. I can help, and then find many ways. And then, so I think that the first thing is be courageous. And the second, even be curious. And then when you are really into that world, that dynamic world, and you start to find that, okay, it is not that bad. And look, someone else is doing that. That is wonderful. And whoa, I've tried this. And isn't this beautiful? And then I'm just curious what more I can do to make it even more successful or help more people. So I think that all of this comes to a sentence that our professor, Imran Crane, had shared at the beginning of COVID-19 in one of his sessions. And he said that never waste a crisis. And I think that is the key, never waste a crisis. That is the entrepreneur spirit.
Certainly, I completely agree with the idea of never waste a crisis. Unfortunately, we've had many crises over the last year. So we certainly have had plenty of opportunity to do what you just described, to see the opportunity in those moments. As we think about as we think about the last 18 months, businesses have seen COVID. We've had political disputes. We've had policy disputes. And many of these issues have raised major questions about international trade and globalization. And you're coming to us today from China, where your company works specifically with helping companies entering into the Chinese market. And I would love to get your thoughts on the current environment for international economic collaboration and international business partnerships. What do you see as the way forward?
Dean Williamson, this is such a good question because, every day started from even before COVID, and then it was the political disrupts. And the COVID-19 came in an even worse way. And then, so therefore, companies, especially like us, and also alumni like us, who have culture heritage from Asia, especially China, and educated and also worked so many years in the US. And so therefore, we consider ourselves, citizen of the world. And we really, we cherish, our citizenship, me as a US citizen. And also, I also have a lot of respect to my cultural heritage. And then, so therefore, when you put everything together into this political world and business world, and then I think that yes, the situation is extremely challenging. But I think that the world is so well connected, and very much like Professor John Graham used to say, because of the mutual investment that say between US and China, that those two countries have invested mutually together for so many years. And there are tremendous knowledge learned. And also there's a huge value chain built. And then henceforth, I think it doesn't matter how big a political challenge and how much of that disrupt under COVID-19 or under whatever way, and then you cannot untangle, or you cannot just unwind everything and said that international trade and globalization could be stopped. It cannot, because you cannot unlearn what you've learned, and most importantly, the market demands is there, and we will never go back to a disconnected and isolated way. So therefore, globalization is going to continue and international trade will go, because at the end, it is the market that play the force in the long run. So I'm confident that it is going to be there, continue, and then even in a stronger or bigger way because of today's technology, because of people keep on finding new solution when challenge actually come, wave by wave in a faster pace and also multiple way. So I think that that is unstoppable. And that itself, instead of just being a challenge, I think that is an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we will just see different terms of engagement, but certainly the engagement will not disappear. We are more connected today as a world than we've ever been. And so I certainly see, the perspective you're bringing. As we think about this interconnectedness, one of the things that's happened is it's actually brought similar calls from a wide variety of societies around the world. And what you're seeing now is more and more communities in different parts of the world are looking to ask, how can companies, how can organizations play a role in not just addressing economic issues, but also play a role in addressing issues around injustice or discrimination or oppression or dealing with issues of income inequality and poverty. And I think this is a very different expectation than many business leaders would have thought about, say, 10 years ago. What do you see as the responsibility of business and business leaders as we think about the role of organizations in addressing broader social issues in society? How do you think we should be contributing to this conversation?
I think that, Dean Williamson, this is a very good question because, world is divided, and then people sometimes are forced to choose sides. And so when the situation gets so complicated, and then people demand for short answers, it's extremely challenging because, because nothing is simple. And then you ought to look at into many layers and then really consider the stakeholder who gets probably even harmed by, all of this. And then from which way we should contribute, we should bring value in, we should help. And then so I think that it is a very complex issue. But I think that for business, you have a set of values. You just have to stick to the value. And it doesn't matter how much noise and then how much risk. And then maybe when you speak up or when you stick to value and then something just victimize you. But I guess that if that comes into the picture, make sure that you are not going to be victimized. Instead, take the initiative as business leader, and you got to stand up, voice out, carry out all that responsibility to be the leader, to help, and then to support, and also to find ways. And then sometimes, if you have to work alone, and then to find that answer, and then to really trotting through the hardship and to do it, because you will find that afterwards you are even a stronger leader, and the reward itself is tremendous, both economically and spiritually. So I think that when you look at this time, it is just in a way, it's interesting and wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. So Catherine, I actually think I might like to ask you one other additional question that I didn't send before. And it kind of goes back to the question I asked you earlier around international trade and collaboration. Your organization is one that focuses on supporting firms coming into China. And I'd be curious if you can maybe share just a few points around what advice you give to organizations as they think about the China market today, but also if I were bringing a business from the United States or from Brazil or from Western Europe into China today, what would be the advice you give me, and what's the perspective I should be having on the next wave, or how the Chinese economy and market will be evolving over the next 5 years or so?
Dean Williamson, that's even a better question because that's something that we're experiencing every day. And on the one side, there's just so much noise, and then people out of whatever reason, and sometimes because of competition, and sometimes it's just that they care about you, they worry about you. So therefore, they will tell you that, well, see, even some of those major players actually left this market, so there's no market and blah blah blah. So you hear all of that, and then people like us, I think that what I learned the biggest was when I was at Mirage, and then we're always looking at the market and says that there is this invisible hands, that it doesn't matter how much distortion there is, the market will correct itself. And then that force itself is unstoppable. And then so therefore, I think that as business, a lot of times you just have to really follow the market force. And then for China, yes, China had a lot of challenges. China actually just in this past 100 years, and then it was from totally bottom of the world, and then it was so backwards, and it was worship, it was chaos, and then it was the political divide, and then eventually this communist country established, and then the first 10 years it was flourished, and then afterwards it's it was total chaos, and then disruption, and then poverty, starvation, and everything you kind of about it. Everything came this way, and then eventually it actually come into the right course and then start try to learn how to grow, how to be kind to as people, and then how to really get the education back, and then start to learn from country like US and partner up with US as to how to grow its economy. And then I think that initially there were just so many problems with the intellectual property. And I think that through that, a lot of punishment actually was dumped on China, probably sometimes really deserve it. So China is trying to do the right thing. That's what I see. And then, so therefore, I think that for a US business, and then, or any business from say, Brazil, from Mexico, or from all over the world. And I think that business still need to look into the opportunity, and then while assess all the risks. And then I think that business should always be very inquisitive. And then I think that in long run, it's going to be very rewarding. And also, you just can't afford to waste this opportunity. And I think that on the other side, find good partnership is very important. And then, so therefore, I think that all the values we've learned from Paul Merage School of Business, and then I think that all of those actually come into a picture, play the force, and then just have to stick with it. You understand, and then you insist on it and work on it, and then create value for your business, for your company, for the community, and for the society.
Thank you, Catherine. So I have one more question I'll ask, and this is the question around preparing. So given all the complexities that we are asking business leaders today to face, and certainly the complexities that we will ask them in the future, which we don't yet even know what they are, what advice would you have for business leaders in terms of what they need to be prepared for, or perhaps more importantly, how they can best prepare themselves to lead organizations through these various challenges that we'll be facing?
Dean Williamson, that's such a good question. Because when I'm thinking about that, I was actually thinking, wow, when we were at Merage, and then we have a lot of programs. And then so a few years ago, when I heard that we were actually having entrepreneur and innovation program, right? Master of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And I was thinking, oh, wow, that is something that you actually dump yourself in, and then you basically learn from falling down and just stand up, and then it's totally like try and error. But when think about it, wow, our school actually pioneered this and have that, and then henceforth that actually reminded me of the culture that we built. The three culture that we built for my company, EcoKMC, because whenever people come into my picture, my company, we always tell them that, remember, our three culture of the company. One is entrepreneurial spirit. And then, so therefore, whenever you see something, and then instead of seeing the bottle half empty, and you always see like, well, it's half full. So you trying to find opportunity from everywhere, and then that is the entrepreneurial spirit. And then I guess that what Merage give is more than that, which is how to equip yourself better for that, and then have a system to work on that, and also how to quickly learn, and and also I guess that from our researchers and corporate world and all that. And then the second one is can-do attitude. So once you see that challenge, and on the other side of the coin, which is the opportunity, and then you got to tell yourself that I can do it, and it doesn't matter how tentative, and then how uncertain you are, and just tell yourself I can do it. and maybe it doesn't really turn out to be what I expected, but it's going to be rewarding. So you just have to have that kind of attitude. And also, I think that the last one is what we're teaching ourselves in our third culture, which is culture of help. So therefore, in this entire chaos, and then you just have to, first of all, see what you can do to help people, but even more courageous, tell people that you need help too. And then henceforth, you can really build this bond, and then to go out of your way to help people, and then for them to find an opportunity to help you. And that actually, builds a stronger community. So those are something that I think that would be really helpful, because recently we've taken 6 interns from a local university called XGTLU, Xijiao Liverpool University. It's a joint venture university. And then many of the young students, undergrad and grad, and then they're facing confusion every day. Even this afternoon, one of them asked to come to talk to me, and I invited her to my home, and we were going to talk through all this confusion and the challenges that she has. And so therefore, every day we actually encourage them, when you actually are facing a lot of challenge, use that entrepreneurial spirit you have, find opportunities to learn, to excel, to grow, and then to help. And then I always believe in you, that even if you fall down in a big way, and then you will still find that, wow, I actually learned. So therefore, like what people say, if it doesn't kill you, it's gonna make you stronger.
Catherine, thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. I am certain the viewers will get great joy out of the wisdom that you provided. And it is fantastic to see how you are continuing to just create new horizons. And I wish you all the best going forward. And certainly if there's anything we can be doing to support you, don't ever hesitate to reach out.